Okay. Record. Once that's recording, we're all good to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll just do the counting. Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, and then I gotta also bring up the Harbaugh cheating scandal.
Yeah.
Can I officially tell that guy to go fuck himself?
Hey, you can tell him to go fuck himself. I don't care.
Because well then why are people to? Because you idiot, it got brought to the fucking media.
Yeah,
That's why
exactly.
he's resigning.
Who, Harbaugh?
No, the AD from Michigan.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
he's getting backlash from the damn. And it's like, oh yeah, well, there's been cheating for years. Yeah, there's been cheating for fucking decades, for
Mm-hmm.
centuries.
Exactly.
You ain't cheat. You're always trying to get the upper hand.
Exactly.
Why is it a big deal? Yeah. Oh, you're okay with cheating? Yeah, I'm okay with cheating. If you're willing to be that stupid to give the fucking shit away.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're all set. All right. In three, two, one, go.
It's the beginning of a new week. It's the first Monday in November. It is Monday, November 6th, 2023. And Mondays mean one thing: Monday evening quarterback. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you guys are going to listen to and enjoy this content. Welcome back to another episode of Monday Evening Quarterback. My name is Christian Simpson. I am the creator, I'm the founder, I'm the NFL and college football analyst, and I'm a radio contributor and a blogger for a company called The Daily Blitz that I founded on September 6, 2010, and we specialize in all things football 24/7, 365. Got another jam packed show for you, or as I like to joke around and say, I got a lot to say. Um, but before anything else, there's two things. One, please like, share, and subscribe to the show. If you want to keep up with us, you can log on to the website, which I will promote at the end of the episode, which is the dailyblitz.blog. Into your email address, become a subscriber today. And the second thing, this is going to be a tough week for me. November 8th is my late grandfather's birthday. He would have been 88 years old. And right after that, on November 9th, that makes 2 years that my grandmother's been gone. And it just seems like it happened yesterday. The one thing that I've kind of told myself since they both transitioned is they're no longer suffering and they're no longer in pain. So, I can wake up and go to sleep every single night knowing that they're both good. You never want to lose a family member, but you never want to see anybody suffer at that. So everything I do has been for my grandparents, and they have the best seat in the house to watch everything unfold. I dedicate everything to them, but this episode especially is being dedicated to my late grandparents. I just had to get that out the way, but back to regularly scheduled programming. You guys know I've been alone the last 3 weeks. This time I'm not. Ronnie, you're finally back. What's going on, man?
Yep, a little bit of a hiatus, but I am back. Don't let that guy that told you that they kicked me off for no reason thinking he's
Yeah,
getting the upper
exactly.
hand.
Yeah, you know how it is. Yeah, man, it's been a while. I've been kind of holding down the fort. Kind of felt like my old school days when I used to host MEQ on YouTube. And that's another thing I'll say. Yeah, this is Monday Evening Quarterback on YouTube, Spotify, Twitch, Blog Talk Radio, and the Nerdport Network. Man, we got a lot of football to talk about. It's November. This is a crunch month for college football, and in a couple of weeks, the playoff picture in the NFL will begin to slowly but surely begin to form itself. We're going to talk about what caught our eyes in college football. Maybe talk about what we think the next set of four teams for the up and coming playoff rankings are going to be and what they should be. We're going to go to the phone lines. I'm going to answer some questions. We're going to talk about what caught our eye in the NFL. And then I'm going to end the show. I'm going to promote things. and then I'm gonna be on my way to go do the Prime on Prime Sports World, which is streamed on Facebook. But Ronnie, let's dive right into it because I know there's one thing you're just itching to get off your chest. Now, you were at a particular game on Saturday. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. I was at the Rutgers Ohio State game.
How was that?
Good, actually, really good. But to anyone out there thinking Ohio State should be ranked number one in the playoff polls, boy, what are you smoking? Because I want some.
Yeah. You remember I told you, yeah, they're undefeated. There's a zero in the loss column. That's great and all, but I wasn't impressed with them after seeing them against Notre Dame. I mean, they needed a mental lapse and a mental error from Notre Dame to survive that because Notre Dame had 10 men on the field. I know you remember that.
Yep.
And then they didn't look all that great to me against Penn State. And I even went on Facebook and said that I wasn't really impressed with Penn State or Ohio State. But I will say this about Ohio State. We knew they weren't going to be the same type of offense that we saw the last couple of years with CJ Stroud. Yes, the defense has improved considerably since 2021. Ryan Day hiring Jim Knowles as his defensive coordinator, I think was the best thing he could have done. Okay.
Yep.
With that being said, though, their offense, we knew they had to change things from an offensive philosophy because yes, they still have Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think is the best player in college football.
And everyone's like, that kid will be playing on Sundays, and he's another version of McCourty.
Yeah, I can see that. But Travion Henderson was the difference maker for this Ohio State team on Saturday. 22 carries, 120 yards. Honestly, I think you need to run this offense through him because Kyle McCord, he can't take care of the ball. He threw an awful interception on Saturday. Absolutely terrible.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to say something. That interception he threw, not his fault.
Not his fault?
Not his fault. That Marvin Harrison was wide open. The zone defense that Rutgers drew in to get that pick. You're talking about the pick at the end of the first half, right? That zone play, they tracked that ball down and freaking ate that ball. 3 people hit that ball at one time.
Mm-hmm.
But if they weren't playing zone, Harrison was gone. He was off to the races. That was a touchdown.
Yeah. Other than that, again, I wasn't really impressed.
No, they did not there were 5. I said there were 5 penalties that were not called or called against Rutgers that changed this game to give Ohio State the win. And this is why I say you all are complaining about the Harbaugh State refs that they always, because Ohio State's a name, the refs give them the favoritism.
Yeah,
because there was a blatant targeting call on
that one interception.
Yep.
On that one interception, right?
Yep.
The one that the guy returned, right?
Yep. Yeah, for the touchdown. That right there, that would have changed the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a lot of pass interference calls that were not called.
I think referees just kind of want to let these guys play because, look, let's be real. You've been watching football for as long as I have, and when these receivers get to the line of scrimmage, yeah, they all get away with a little bit of contact. The corners and the receivers alike.
Contact's fine, but when you're seeing someone get bear hugged,
yeah,
when you're seeing someone get straitjacket, then you don't pull the flag. It's like, something fishy's going on.
Right.
Just because you're just because you're the Ohio State, you should not be getting favoritism.
But see, here's the thing. This is what I can see happening with Ohio State. If, I think someone asked me the other day, diehard Ohio State Buckeyes fan, he asked me, what does Ohio State have to do in order not to lose a playoff spot? And I said, they can't overlook any of their opponents because I'm looking at their schedule
They have
right
to
here.
beat Michigan. That's literally it. Like
Yeah,
because
yeah.
because if they can beat, they're gonna beat Michigan State. It's at in
So I'm looking at the schedule right here.
both games are in the
Play
shoe.
Michigan State. They have 3 games left. They play Michigan State, right?
Yep.
Then they play Minnesota, which is at the shoe, and then obviously the big one against Michigan
In the big
at
house.
the big house. And Michigan's owned this matchup the last 2 years. I mean, Michigan went into Columbus last year and just punched them in the mouth and didn't look bad. That's probably the best I saw Michigan look all year last season. I I don't want to say they'll overlook anybody, but unfortunately, that's a tendency that can occur. You see what I'm saying? Like, what I mean by that is you feel like you just have to show up because you're more superior than the team that you're playing on the field. Nah, it's not that way. You still got to show up and you still got to put together the best game plan for 60 minutes.
So the AP poll, which is completely different than the playoffs. The of course, this is going to give Ohio State. The computers are still saying 2 now. Ohio State is 3. I don't even agree with that, but I understand where the computers are saying that they're 3.
Who did the computers have at 1 and 2?
Still,
Michigan and Georgia?
Still Georgia 1, Michigan 2.
Yeah, I mean, look, Georgia and Michigan are the 2 best teams in the country. Like, Michigan, I think, has been a little bit more complete than Georgia because Michigan has dominated.
Like, I'll say right now, I put in my original 6. I have Michigan at 1, Georgia at 2, FSU at 3.
Okay.
I couldn't really choose between Washington and Oregon. So either one is 4. Then Ohio State, then the other one's 6.
So, what mine would be...
It would be Washington because they're undefeated. So
and they own that at the head over Oregon.
That's what I mean. Like,
but I have a feeling we're probably going to see Washington and Oregon
in Vegas.
And I can't wait for that. Here's the thing. With my 4, I would have Michigan at 1.
Yep.
I mean, Michigan has top to bottom. They've been the most complete team in the league, in the country. Now, everybody's saying, "Oh, who have they played?" Okay, yeah, that may be true and all, but they're handling business.
But here's the thing: Michigan may be playing the same people Ohio State is, but Michigan is literally calling off the dogs in the third quarter. Ohio State still has to fight in the fourth.
Exactly, and I'm not going to say they're on this level, but, I kind of get flashes of 2021 Georgia. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just being dominant and putting the game out and making your opponent think you have a chance when in all actuality, you don't. They just impose their will, and then they put you away. Like that game against Michigan State a couple of weeks ago. My God.
Now, here's the big thing. The Michigan, though, also can prove that they're number 1 next week.
Yeah, because they have a big game, which I'm going to give a little teaser about. So I would have Michigan at 1. I would have Georgia at 2.
Yeah.
I mean, look.
National champs.
Not only are they the national champs, this team's won 26 games in a row.
Right.
Like, that deserves every reward in the book. So, okay, those are my top 2 right there, right? 3, Florida State. Florida State by far has been the best team in the ACC. I mean, Jordan Travis is a legit Heisman candidate. Okay, has a really good duo of receivers in Coleman and Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. Both of them are trees. I think these are probably the tallest sets of receivers in the league. Johnny Wilson's 6'7", and they use him in a slot. How many times do you see guys over 6'5" in a slot?
Not many. OBJ?
He's not even 6'5".
What is he? 6?
OBJ is small compared to Johnny Wilson.
Yeah, I was gonna say because he plays bigger.
Yeah, he just plays bigger. So Florida State would be my 3. 4. This is where you and I kind of disagree, Ronnie.
What do you have at 4?
I have Oregon at 4, and you know how high I've been.
That's honestly why I said I didn't know who to put there. Because
I'm putting Oregon at 4. I'm going to tell you why, too.
Yeah, well, Oregon's more dominant, but they still lost the head-to-head.
Yeah, but see, ever since that Washington game, um, the Washington Oregon game, great game by the way.
Yeah.
Um, I haven't been impressed with Washington. They haven't looked good to me. You know, the defense, they've improved, but they're not where they should be. I just think Oregon is a more complete team than them from top to bottom. They can run the ball. They have a great offensive line. Like, I'll say this. When they played all those weeks ago in Seattle, that was probably the most evenly matched football game I think I've seen in quite some time because both teams were able to run the ball. Neither team really put emphasis on the running game, and who ends up having a bigger game? The running backs, because Bucky
Right.
Irving had a good game. Washington's running back, can't think of his name right now, had a good game that day as well. Oregon pretty much gift wrapped that that game in Seattle because Dan Lanning not punting it and not letting Michael Penix Jr. work the length of the field and giving him pretty much prime field position to strike and capitalize. And that's exactly what they did. But after what I saw Oregon do in Utah, Ronnie, I've been telling you this all off season and before the season. Remember, I was high on Oregon coming into this year. Because what did I say? They could be who this year? This year's version of TCU. And so far, they're making me look really good. Now,
The difference is though is they have a defense.
who, Oregon?
Yep.
Yeah, did you see what they did in Salt Lake City?
Did you see
Last
what they
week?
did? Did you see what they did the other night against Cal?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, they played angry, they played pissed off against Utah. And people, look, I even remember telling you because I do my little Herb Street thing where I don't give a pick for the games I'm previewing because I got to keep some type of intrigue. And then again, if I tell you who I have winning the game, you guys are gonna know when I drop the preview. So that's why I do what I do. Remember, I sent to you that I had Utah winning that game first, but it was just something about Oregon, and I'm glad I switched to Oregon when I did.
They're in conference. They have not let up total so far. They've only given up 97 points in conference.
I'm not surprised at that because Dan Lanning is a defensive-minded guy.
And just overall, 144 points.
And Bo Nix needs an invite out here to New York City.
Yes, he does. And he probably will get one. Him, Penix. Right now, it's going to be him, Penix, and McCarthy.
And Marvin Harrison.
Do they do 4 or do they do 3?
They've done 3. They've done 4. I've seen 4 in years past. They go from 3 to 4.
Okay, so yeah, Harrison should be the last.
Yeah, those are my 4 right there. Because Caleb Williams, he's out of it. And why don't we talk about that? Because that was a pretty entertaining game on Saturday. Weeks ago, it looked like I would have been previewing that, but USC just kind of wet the bed. USC, I'm talking about the USC Trojans and the Washington Huskies, and it was a shootout. Washington did come out on top. I did have Washington winning this game. Washington did come out on top by a score of 52-42. And are you surprised that Washington scored that many points?
No.
Because Michael Penix was 22 of 30 for 256 yards with 2 touchdown passes and 1 interception. Dylan Johnson. Y'all need to know this name. 26 carries, 256 yards rushing. And not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 touchdowns. And Jalen Polk had the one of the 2 receiving touchdowns, and Devin Culp had the other. So Michael Penix had 256 yards passing. Washington as a whole ran for 316 yards.
Mm.
And that was so bad, I guess this was the final straw for Lincoln Riley, because guess what Lincoln Riley did yesterday? He fired Alex Grinch, his defensive coordinator. It took you this long?
Yeah.
It really took him this long. On the USC side, Caleb Williams, 27-35, 312 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. I mean, Caleb and Michael were matching throw for throw. And I saw somebody jokingly say on Twitter or X or whatever you're calling it these days, that this game could be very reminiscent. So you remember that Chiefs and Rams game in 2018 when they scored all those points on Monday Night Football?
Yep.
That's what a lot of people were thinking. But Austin Jones had 127 yards rushing, and Taj Washington, I mean, he's been their number one receiver. 8 receptions, 122 yards, and 1 touchdown. And Mario Williams, 4 receptions, 42 yards caught, another touchdown. USC, I'll admit to you, before I, changed up what my predictions were going to be for the college football playoff, I had USC as one of my 4, but I'm glad I took them out when I did because they don't play defense. That's always been the kicker with Lincoln Riley football teams. You know what you're going to get on the offensive side of the ball, but what are they going to do defensively? This was the same thing in Oklahoma. All those teams with Baker Mayfield, you knew they were going to score 40 a game, but they gave up 35, right? Same with Kyler Murray and these USC teams as well. And Alex Grinch is widely regarded as supposed to be a defensive genius, and I put emphasis on the word supposed to be. Washington is 9-0. They continue to roll. This is the best I've seen them look since 2016. You got any thoughts about this one, Ronnie?
I mean, not really. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. I mean, it is explained.
Now, there's one thing I want to point out about this game. At the end of the game, Ronnie, you play football, I play football. And what's the one thing we always came to know about our coaches? That they're almost like other father figures to us, right? Kalen DeBoer, he is the head coach of the Washington Huskies. The senior DB for Washington, Zion Tapualoa Fatui.
Sounds about right.
He lost his dad last week. And he was visibly emotional. Here, let me start that over. He was visibly emotional after the game.
Yes.
And as you should be. Like, look, I don't know what it's like to lose a parent, and I don't want to experience that. Couldn't keep his emotions in. He said his dad would have wanted him to play, and Kalen just went up to his player and consoled him. I mean, he fell in his arms, and he just took him in. Probably had a couple of words of wisdom for him, and probably said, "Look, your dad's proud of you. I'm proud of you. You have brothers on this team that are supporting you." And to me, that's when it's just bigger than football, Ronnie. Just an unbelievable moment. He said his dad would have wanted him to play. I know he's going to probably dedicate the rest of this season to his father. Washington did win that game by a score of 52-42. Once again, one of the more thrilling games of the week, because the other thrilling game took place in Tuscaloosa. You and I were talking during this game. LSU.
Yeah.
Alabama.
Yep.
The first Saturday in November. I've previewed this game about 5 or 10 times.
Well, 3 quarters were entertaining.
Yeah, they were. And as I'm watching this game, I'm saying to myself, both these quarterbacks might finish with close to 200 yards rushing.
DoorDash is advising customers.
Yeah. Jayden Daniels, well, entering this game, LSU had entered with the number 1 offense in college football. They went from 34 points a game last season to 47, right? Jayden Daniels is a big part of that because he's throwing the football better. You've just seen a complete 360 with Jayden, because what he's doing now when it comes to throwing the ball, he was not able to do when he was at Arizona State.
Right.
LSU also has a pretty doggone good duo of receivers as well. Brian Thomas, and you know my rule, you better have game if you have 2 first names, and Malik Neighbors. Um, it's been the defense that's really hurt LSU because let's say LSU doesn't lose those 2 games and they're in the top 10. We could be talking about Jaden Daniels being one of those candidates to be invited to New York City for the Heisman.
Right.
You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
Alabama, how are they going to respond to this? Because you remember that game last year? Alabama lost in double overtime to LSU in Death Valley in Baton Rouge. And that was Brian Kelly's signature win. Looking at the stats, before Jaden went down, he was 15 of 24, 219 yards passing with 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. And Garrett Nussmeier came in, and things just weren't the same. He was 5 of 10 for 53 yards. Jaden Daniels was also your leading rusher, 11 carries for 163 yards, and Malik Neighbors, as to be expected, was your leading receiver with 171 yards on 10 receptions. On the Alabama side, Jalen Milroe. Look, Jalen has gradually climbed the ladder since he got benched against South Florida. And remember what I even told you a couple of days after? Jalen gives this team the best chance to win.
Oh, I agree.
Jalen was 15 of 23, 219 yards passing, no touchdowns and no interceptions, but he was the leading rusher. He carried the ball 20 times with 155 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns. And Isaiah Bond was your leading receiver with 60. This is a big win for Alabama, and I think you said it best. They entered themselves back into the national championship conversation.
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
Because as long as they win out and win the SEC, which means they would have a win over Georgia. You know what? Actually, while I do that, let me pull up Alabama's schedule real quick. All right. They have a style win over LSU. That's a big one. They have a 14-point win over Ole Miss. All right, not a big. They blew out Mississippi State. Okay. They went into College Station and beat Texas A&M. Okay. Rival game against Arkansas at home. That's always a close game. Beat number 17 Tennessee at home. Okay. Blew out LSU. Now you go into Lexington against a Kentucky team next week. That's always hard. Game against Chattanooga. Okay, you can sleepwalk through that. And then the Iron Bowl. Throw the record out the window anytime you play the Iron Bowl at Auburn. It's in Jordan O'Hare, too.
That's going to be tough.
Yeah.
That's not going to be easy for them because it seems like they can handle Auburn at Bryant-Denny in Tuscaloosa.
Right.
They get all they can handle from Auburn when it's at Jordan-Hare.
But then you have a game against Georgia. Beat the national champs, you're in. Even if Georgia loses, Georgia's going to get in. If they run the table.
Definitely.
So you may not see Bama get in, but you have Bama puts themselves back in the conversation.
Bama's playing good football.
They're winning by margin. That's the big thing too.
Right.
They're winning games by margin.
Alabama's playing good football because I remember a couple of weeks ago on MEQ, after the Tennessee game, it looked like Tennessee was going to get them again.
Also, show me who Ohio State's beaten.
Mm-hmm.
Show me. See, that's the thing. They would almost need help because you're not one loss from FSU. They're out. Then FSU's going to be out. They need another loss they need 2 losses from Washington.
Who, Alabama?
Yeah. But then there's the argument. Who do you put in? because at that point it would be a 2-loss. It would be at least 2 losses for Washington. Okay, they're out. Then it's an SEC champ in Alabama or a Pac-12 champion in Oregon.
You know what else I can see happening, unfortunately? So let's just paint the scenario, and let's say Michigan does indeed beat Ohio State, right?
Well, that means Michigan will not have the opportunity to go to the the Big Ten title game. That's her.
No, I said let's say if Michigan does beat Ohio State.
Okay, Ohio State's out.
No, not necessarily.
Ohio State would be out because they will not play in the Big Ten title game.
Right, but let's just say Georgia does beat Alabama.
Well, then Bama's out.
And then Ohio State's in. Watch. That's what's going to happen.
I would rather... Well, no, because, okay, so then you have that. Then that would be Georgia, Michigan, FSU, and you would put... Really? You wouldn't put a Pac-12 champion over them? I would.
Yeah. I mean, look at what happened last year. Because Ohio State didn't play in their conference title game last year, right? And
who was? But at that time, if you remember, who was 5?
Ohio State was 5.
Sorry. Hold on. You know what? I can find this out in 2 seconds. Let me see what the college football playoff was for last year.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Let me see. 2022. I need the college football playoffs. Loading. Football playoffs, final rankings. There we go. All right. That's why. That explains it. Every team below 4 had 2 losses. You were not going to put a 2-loss Alabama team over Ohio State. That explains why. You're never going to do that. But if you're telling me this year you're going to get a 1-loss Oregon, like Oklahoma's got 2 losses already. They're done.
I remember. Yeah. Stick a fork in Oklahoma. They lost their final edition of Bedlam, 27-24. But I remember having this discussion with you last year because they lost that game to Kansas State, and they were going to put Alabama in. And I'm just saying, hello. Show me the conference title game Alabama played in that Saturday.
Looking back at that, would you kind of regret not having Alabama in there?
Alabama lost 2 games.
I understand that, but yeah,
show
but also show me a competent TCU team that could have actually stood up to Georgia.
Yeah, but show me a time where
I made so much money off that game.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. And you didn't give me my cut, so I don't care what you made. Show me a time where they put a team with 2 losses in the CFP.
Not yet. Have not yet. Honestly,
it's been only 4.
Honestly, that is the only time that it would have been I think people would have accepted it. And you could have made an argument because of how hard who was the title game? Was LSU the title game?
It was LSU and Georgia.
Yeah. But like that was something that you can argue, be like, okay, I can see it. TCU, and TCU won by a field goal, right? Or did TCU beat the Snot, get beaten by K-State?
Yeah, but see, TCU still got rewarded because they won a share of their conference, and they played in their conference title game. Then you had Nick Saban go on national TV looking like a duck and complaining and trying to plead his case about his team going in.
Also, I'm going to look at it too in that defense. When you look at the committee's going to want numbers. Who looks better on a ballot? Who looks better as a whole? Alabama or TCU?
Right.
Like, I hate saying it that way because it should be about the sport. But when you look at them, and this is why when people are doing it, you have to look at the money side of it, the business side of it, not the oh well they deserved it. No, like TCU. If TCU went unbeaten, listen, I have no issue. You're in. You're unbeaten. You deserve to be in.
I'm
One,
not again. I wasn't keeping a team with one loss and who play in their conference title
but I'm
game.
I'm also looking at project of work, body of work.
Yeah, and look, TCU was pretty good last year.
But TCU had a lot of close scare games that they had no business being close scare games, aka a game like Baylor, where literally if they didn't rush out the team and within 2 seconds they were losing that game.
Right.
Then they get smoked, and not just beat, they got smoked. Like there was no chance that they were coming back and beating K-State.
Exactly.
So that's what I mean. Like if you look at body of work and what they did during the whole year, that's what I said. I'm like, one loss, I can understand where maybe they're in. But if you're telling me you're looking at this, and I'm like, I could see where you put in a TCU.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the Big 12, Kansas State and Texas. Texas should be ashamed of themselves.
They got away with one to keep their freaking keep their chances in a title hunt alive.
Yeah.
But that Oklahoma. But you know what though? Them losing Oklahoma makes it look worse now with them losing to Bedlam.
They missed Quinn Ewers. I mean, that's pretty evident. They won that game yesterday. I knew that Kansas State was going to beat them. I mean, that Kansas State was going to play them tough.
Yeah. So,
but yeah.
Here's the thing. I'm looking at rankings right now. I'm looking at everybody in here, other than the unbeaten's, which is the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
We have a 1 loss. These are all teams with 1 loss: Oregon, Texas, Bama, Penn State, Ole Miss, and Louisville.
Okay.
Could you make an argument for all of them to be better than Ohio State? Because right now you're going to look at... Okay, Ole Miss, no, because they're not going to play in the title game. Penn State, maybe, if they beat Michigan, then you have an argument that they could... And Ohio State loses a game, you could make... Then you would have to go by... oh, God damn it. What's it called? The ranking of the win-loss record of the West. So, which would be actually in Penn State's favor. Ohio State would be on the outside looking in because of Youngstown State. Okay. Louisville has to play Florida State in the conference title game right now. That right there could be a playoff spot.
What happened? What could be a playoff spot?
If Louisville runs the table right now, they're 8-1. They beat Florida State in the ACC title game.
Oh wow. This is why I always call the month of November for college football Statement November.
And then you have Texas, who their 1 loss is Oklahoma, which looks bad now. And then you have Oklahoma, Washington, which that's most likely going to be for one of the 4.
So, excuse me.
Unless something happens where they lose, because Washington's got Utah, but it's in Washington, so who the hell knows?
So, what would your 4 be tomorrow when the ranking special comes on?
Like I said before, Michigan 1, Georgia 2. Unfortunately, you're gonna see Ohio State 3 and FSU 4.
Yeah, that's what it should be.
And then Washington, Oregon 5-6.
So Alabama's like at 7.
They're gonna jump over Texas, so they're gonna be 7.
But remember, Texas owns a head-to-head over them.
I understand that, but now you look at, as much as you go by head-to-head, that's for the first one. Go by head-to-head, I agree. Texas should be 7. But look at how Bama blew out LSU, which is a harder game. Yes, it's in Tuscaloosa, but Texas had to go to overtime to beat K-State.
Yeah, but remember, Texas also did that without their quarterback.
Uh, you know what though? It's still, yeah, but but Bama won by style points too.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only reason why I would say that they could jump Texas, because Bama won by a ton of margin. But at the same time, so did LSU. So I bet you LSU will be jumped up to the top 10 by this week. They'll jump Ole Miss. They'll jump Penn State. They're probably going to be 9.
Yeah. That's all I pretty much have for college football. Colorado lost again, 26-19 to Oregon State. Oregon put up 63 on California. And that's who I'm giving my game ball to. Bo Nix, 29 of 32, 29 to 38, 386 yards passing. He accounted for 6 touchdowns. He threw 4, and then he ran for 2 more. You want to give out your trash bag, Ronnie, before we go to the phone lines and play some music and then talk about the NFL?
There's not a lot of trash bag. Caleb Williams, I can give it to for crying on the sideline after he lost.
See, Caleb, to me, I'm kind of looking at him up and down because he said he wanted like partial ownership.
That's exactly why. Yeah, that's exactly. You know what? I got a trash bag for you.
Who's that?
To the University of Nebraska.
Oh God.
Here's your trash bag. Get your shit and get out, because you couldn't even beat Michigan State. Oh, okay. and to Wisconsin, because you couldn't beat Indiana. I mean,
hey. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Navy. This nope. Oh God, Iowa too for only putting 10 up on Northwestern.
Yeah. But that was college football for today. We're gonna go to the phone line.
Hold on. There's actually one thing I want to talk about with you before we go to the phone lines.
All right, let me hear it.
Because it is college. We are like you said, we're getting into Statement November.
Right.
We're also getting into where you have to start paying attention to conferences.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, are there some conference title games that are shaping up to be very interesting for the last 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to run a couple by you and what your opinions are. So there's a 3-way tie for the American right now.
Okay.
Tulane, SMU, and UTCA are all tied in conference. They're all undefeated.
Okay.
Who do you see your title game being?
List the teams again.
Tulane, SMU, UTSA.
I think it's going to be Tulane and UTSA. Tulane.
Which is great because UTSA and SMU play the final game of the year.
Yeah, so that could be a playing game. Tulane has one of the more prolific offenses in college football. Michael Pratt. Remember that name. He's a quarterback that can really spin the ball up and down the field. They play that spread offense. They play with a lot of balance. They can run the football. And, I mean, their offense keeps them in so many games. Yeah, I'm going to say Tulane and UTSA.
So right now, also for the ACC, we're going to get, it looks like right now we're going to get, unless something happens, Florida State, Louisville.
I would take Florida State there because Louisville would have to slow the game down.
And they don't slow the game down at all. They're fast.
Yeah, so I think the ball would literally fly up and down the field there.
So the next one is interesting. Is the Big 12. It's Texas OK State.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not Oklahoma's lost.
Thanks a lot, Brent.
Yeah.
It's Quinn Ewers going to be back at that time because I don't know if Malik Murphy. I remember what I said about DJ Uiagalelei during his Clemson tenure. He can get you to the promised land, but he can't take you to the mountaintop.
Yeah, you're gonna laugh at this one. So Conference USA, we can take a victory lap for this one.
Let me hear it.
So it would be Liberty versus Jacksonville State, but because
ain't nobody care.
Wait. Because Jacksonville State is now ineligible to go to the conference title game, it's going to be Liberty versus New Mexico State. which we both predicted this to be the game at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, we did. But can I say what I normally say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ain't nobody cares.
Yeah, I
Next.
know. So it looks like Mountain West, you got a 3-way tie right now. Air Force, Fresno State, and UNLV. 2 we called, but 1 is no one saw Air Force being 5-0 in conference.
No, they didn't. And man, they do it with balance. They're well coached and they're good on the defensive side
But
of the football too.
the big thing is you're gonna get. They have to still play Fresno, UNLV, and Boise.
Mm-hmm.
So all the 3 teams that are below them, they have to play. So
Right.
that's going to be interesting. Pac-12, kind of already said it. Oregon, Washington, unless something happens. Georgia, Bama, unless something happens for the SEC. And then the Sun Belt, whatever. You're going to get Troy versus James Madison again.
Yeah, more than likely.
But there's a lot of unknown teams this year that are fighting for spots.
What would the Big Ten be?
Obviously, other than because we're still in a 3-way competitive tie between Penn State, Ohio State, and Michigan.
And
looks like
Michigan and Penn State playing a huge game this weekend, and I'm surprised game day didn't go there.
And Fox did.
But still, game day should be there.
Yeah, I agree with that. But yet they're going to Georgia.
Yeah, they're going to Athens for Ole Miss in Georgia.
Yeah, Michigan still has to play Ohio State, and Michigan still has to play Penn State. So this could all change. But right this second, it's Michigan versus Iowa.
Oh, what it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, yeah, that's what it's looking like. It's going to... Well, you want to talk about a snoozer? And that's not even... That could be adjusted. Because right now, Iowa's only 4-2. And then you have Minnesota, Wisconsin, Nebraska are all at 3-3.
Yeah.
And hold on, who does Iowa play? And then we'll go to the phone calls after this. Iowa still has... Oh, they got to play Rutgers next week. Home against Illinois. And then the end of game against Nebraska, which could be for the West.
Interesting.
Because they lost... Okay. That's it. That's very interesting. They would probably need a little bit of help from Minnesota and Wisconsin to lose one game. But Nebraska, Iowa could be for the West. First off, why am I saying Nebraska could be in the conference title game?
Oh boy. Yeah, on that note, man, go to the phone lines. Yeah, look, we're going to the phone lines right now. This is Monday Evening Quarterback here on Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, Blog Talk Radio, and the Nerdport Network. We're going to be talking some NFL when we get back. Then I'm going to promote, answer some questions, and we're going to preview Monday Night Football, one that I know Ronnie is probably itching to talk about. You'll hear it all when we get back. Enjoy the music. This is MEQ, hashtag Daily Blitz Radio.
And break.
Cool. So, all right, NFL. I think the Ravens are the best team in the AFC.
If you're a Jet fan, you're loving this morning.
Yeah, and I got to say something about the Dolphins. I think you're gonna crack up with what I'm gonna say about the Dolphins. I'll talk about what C.J. Stroud did. Like what C.J. Stroud did. Oh my! Did you see what he did?
420? 470.
470. 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And then we got to give Josh Dobbs some love from Minnesota.
Yep. Fucking Rams just awful.
Yeah, and then tomorrow I'll do Monday Evening Quarterback, the after show. That's always just gonna be me, unless you want to jump on and I'll have you on as well. But yeah, like I talk about what we didn't discuss, right? So
Yeah.
what happened?
What happened the 4 o'clock? Like how bad, piss poor the Giants are.
Yeah, and then God, let me see with the
14,
Cowboys.
14-7 Cowboys.
Fuck. All right, the Eagles are in the red zone though. Beautiful. Okay.
The
But
Browns. So
yeah,
it looks like Murray's coming back next week for the Cardinals.
yeah, who cares? They suck.
That actually means a lot, though. The Bears couldn't fucking come back. The freaking Falcons couldn't close. The Patriots lose the Commanders again.
And I finally got a question. Finally. Um. So yeah. All right. You ready to wrap this up? You ready to
Yep.
talk some NFL?
Yep.
All right, let's do it.
Three,
Let's do it.
3, 2, 1, go.
Man, Ronnie, I talk about it all the time about these phone callers, man. These phone callers are what make Monday Evening Quarterback. And as I always say, you're probably wondering, could that be me? Yeah, that could be you. Man, let me know. Reach out. Email me, c.simpson@thedailyblitz.blog, and I will get back to you in at least a day, because I do not like keeping messages unopened in my inbox. So please reach out, or even reach out to Roddy, or anybody want to set something up and you can't get a hold of me, reach out to Ronnie, and Ronnie will tell me, and then I'll set everything up. Then I'll reach out to you. But okay, we talked NFL, and welcome back to Monday Evening Quarterback. By the way, once again, like, share, and subscribe to the show. We talked college. We had a grand old time talking college. Now it's time to talk the big boys. I'm talking about the National Football League. And there was a game in Germany yesterday morning, Ronnie. Miami Dolphins, Kansas City Chiefs, or as I called it when I preview the site on the site, Taylor, come back. I really wanted to see how Kansas City was going to bounce back, because they looked like absolute trash against Denver. That's probably the worst I think I've seen Kansas City look in quite some time. But give Denver a lot of credit, because Denver, they simplified the game. They were able to keep those safeties high, coverage underneath. They kept Kelsey in check, and they didn't just pressure Mahomes. See, let me explain something. As a pass rusher, hitting the quarterback and pressuring the quarterback doesn't always mean sacking him. It's collapsing his pocket. It's making him think twice before he has to throw, and that's exactly what Denver did last week. And the big game, the big storyline in this game was Tyreek Hill was facing his former team for the first time since being traded, right? Looking at those numbers right here, the Chiefs had to grind this game out, man. They won 21-14. Tua Tagovailoa, 21-34, 193 yards and 1 touchdown. And Raheem Mostert was your leading rusher with 85 yards. Let me say this, Ronnie, and I want to know if you agree with me or disagree with me on this. I think the Dolphins missed Devin Achane.
That's hard to say. Yes and
Why?
no. Yes and no. I believe, yes, they do miss him. But on the same hand, too, you still have Mostert.
Yeah, which is true, but Devin Achane gave them an added dimension, because Achane is more of a versatile threat than Raheem is. You know who Devin Achane reminds me of?
Who?
CJ. Chris Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what he reminds me of. And when you don't have that element of speed, that says something. This Chiefs defense, they've grown up this year, because the Chiefs offense, they haven't been what we're accustomed to seeing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mahomes he was almost like a game manager here. 20-30 for 185 yards and 2 touchdowns. No interceptions. Isaiah Pacheco, Rutgers boy.
Yep.
16 carries, 66 yards, and Noah Gray was the leading receiver. 3 receptions, 34 yards. I want to say this about the Miami Dolphins, and I want everybody, you too, Ronnie, to hear what I'm about to say, because these Miami Dolphins remind me of 2 teams, okay? The first one, they remind me a lot of last year's New York Giants. Do you get what I mean by that?
Yeah, I get what you mean by that.
Because the Giants last year could beat up on all the bad teams, right?
Yeah.
But when it came to playing quality competition, they never showed up. After all, the Giants were 0-5 combined against the Cowboys and Eagles. You remember they lost to the Cowboys twice, and they lost to the Eagles 3 times because the Eagles beat them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The Dolphins also remind me of those Colts teams with Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne and Edgerrin James and the guys that were in Dallas Clark, and they were all coached by Tony Dungy. The reason why I say that is because you knew how prolific those Colts teams were. They could score, right? They could move the ball up and down the field on you. But when you so those types of teams are called finesse teams. And when you punch a finesse team in the mouth and you establish the physicality, they don't recover. That's what Buffalo did a couple of weeks ago. The Eagles did it. And Kansas City somewhat did it yesterday in Frankfurt. The Dolphins' 6 wins. They beat the Patriots twice, who are now 2-7. They beat the Chargers, and I think they have a below 500 record. They put 70 up on Denver, and we know Denver's not that good. And who else did they beat? They beat someone else. Help me out there, Ronnie. Can you look it up?
Yep, I got you.
Cool. Because, like, it's on the tip of my... And they beat the Giants. They beat the Giants.
There you go.
All those teams aren't good, but then you look at Miami's losses. Buffalo. You lost to Buffalo by 28. The Eagles punch you in the mouth, and you lose to them by 14. And then you...
Yeah, so Patriots, Giants, Panthers, Broncos, Chargers,
Right, it's
Pats.
the Panthers. Right. Then you look at their losses. I just said Buffalo.
Yep.
Philly beat them by 14.
Yep.
And the Chiefs beat them by 7. And the Chiefs looked a little vulnerable at times, but Miami has offensive line issues. Tua's going to single-handedly get killed if they don't put some type of protection up on him.
Like, it's funny because it's like, oh, well, who else could beat them? Who else is a good enough team to beat them? The Jets.
Yeah. Buffalo could beat them again.
Buffalo could beat them again.
But what Buffalo team shows up? Because, they done pissed me off the last couple weeks.
Well, and I called it. I told you at the beginning of the year, Buffalo has a chance to not make the playoffs this year.
You're right. And you're not looking wrong right now. Kansas City bounces back. They're 7-2. However, there's another team that's 7-2 in the AFC. The Baltimore Ravens, and I think they're the best in the AFC right now. Lamar is playing with patience. They're still running the ball. His passing has improved considerably, right? He's finally healthy. That's a knock on wood. And their defense. I mean, that's always going to be the mantra with the Baltimore Ravens. They're always going to play defense. They absolutely dominated the Seattle Seahawks yesterday.
Yep.
By a score of 37-3. Geno Smith did not look good in this one.
No, he did not.
13-28, 157 yards passing, no touchdowns and 1 interception. And the Ravens' run defense really showed up and balled out because they held Kenneth Walker III to 16 yards. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Ohio State boy, was your leading receiver with 63 yards. On the Baltimore side, Lamar, 21 of 26, 187 yards. No touchdowns, no interceptions. And Lamar was your second leading rusher with 60 yards. Let me see who the leading rusher was for the Ravens because it's a name I don't recognize.
Mitchell. Kendrick Mitchell.
Right.
Nine carries, 138 and touchdown.
Keaton Mitchell.
Sorry.
Keaton Mitchell. Look, right now, I think the Ravens might be the bigger threat to the Kansas City Chiefs than, say, the Cincinnati Bengals or the Buffalo Bills. Because, look, Cincinnati is rounding into form. I'll say that much, right? They're definitely rounding into form, and the Ravens and Bengals actually play each other in a couple of weeks on a Thursday night. Finally, it'll be a Thursday night game worth watching.
Yeah, right?
Because these other ones, look, I'm watching the back of my eyelids by halftime. That means I'm asleep.
So right now, if the season was to end today, KC would be the number 1 seed because they would own the percentage in conference games.
And Baltimore will probably be the 2.
2, but then we don't. But again, we have not had these teams play. Jacksonville's the 3 because they're on the bye though this week.
Yeah, and Jacksonville and Baltimore actually play each other in a couple of weeks.
And then Miami with the losses 4 because they're in the lead. But then it goes Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Buffalo, and the Jets haven't played yet.
So there's the possibility that all 4 teams from the AFC North could make the playoffs.
I still think the Jets sneak into that one of those spots. Because they still got to play Cleveland. They still got to play Miami twice. They still got to play Buffalo once. They still have to play teams like the Falcons. The teams that are still there, not the Falcons, sorry. The Texans, they still have to play, which is, they're fighting right now apparently they're fighting for a fucking playoff spot. How? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The Chargers, they still have to play. They got to play the Chargers tonight.
Right, which we're going to talk about. This is the best I've seen the Ravens look since 2019. And that's when Lamar Jackson won MVP. I kind of get flashes of that team when I watch this team, but I think they're a little more well-rounded offensively.
Yeah.
What they were that year. But, again, as great as Lamar is in a regular season, can he do it when it matters most, which is in the playoffs?
Well, the thing is right now Baltimore is good. I think the team that people are going to sleep on because they're healthy, getting healthier, is going to be Cincinnati.
Yeah. I mean, look, Joe Burrow's calf is healed because he's moving around and he's connecting on passes that he wasn't connecting on earlier in the year. Remember that?
Yep.
The only issue I have with the Bengals is they don't use Joe Mixon enough. I feel they can run the football a little bit more.
Well, I mean, they still got Baltimore. They still have Pittsburgh. They got Houston. And they got Pittsburgh twice,
and then they have Cleveland for one more.
One more at the end of the year, which could mean everything.
Yeah, that could be a lot. The AFC North might be the best division in the NFL.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the fact that, like I said, I still think the fact that you have all this, that Baltimore is right now playing hands down some of the best football. I don't think they're the best team in the AFC, though.
Who? Baltimore?
Yeah.
Baltimore's been a little bit... So, you would put Kansas City over Baltimore?
Actually, I put Jacksonville.
See,
okay, let me explain.
Uh-huh.
Jacksonville, in my opinion, is a better, well-rounded team. Baltimore, their defense is good. Their offense is always suspect because of Lamar. Kansas City is the opposite. Their offense is good, but their defense is always suspect.
Right.
That's the problem. I mean, you go in, yeah, okay, Mahomes was sick. But if he ain't getting the ball to Kelsey, who is he throwing to?
Yeah, I'm glad. Go ahead, Ronnie.
No, who's he throwing to? Because then when that ball gets turned over to the defense has got more holes in it than Swiss cheese.
Who? Kansas City?
Yeah.
They've been good this year.
They've been good. Yeah, let's see how was that defense against Denver?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Christ, you're getting Russell, Mr. Unlimited, coming possibly being a comeback player of the year.
Yeah, because you brought up a good point. Outside of Travis Kelce, there's nobody in this receiving core for
Pachenko?
Yeah, but I mean, look, he's a threat out the backfield. But name another pass catching option that the Chiefs have that scares you.
The only one they got that not even that scares me. The only one they got that I know about is fucking Stonehands from goddamn Joker.
Who? Kadarius Toney.
Yes. Mr. Rap,
Yeah.
Mr. I'd rather do my rap career than play NFL football.
Yeah, you know how that is. Look, man. Yeah, you know how that is. Rappers want to be athletes. Athletes want to be rappers. The two just coexist with one
Yeah,
another.
you know, like LeBron, cats and dogs living together. All hell's breaking loose.
Exactly. Now, I'll say this about Kansas City. I don't see them going far because outside of, like you just said, outside of Kelsey, who do they have? You see what I'm saying? Outside of Travis Kelsey, who else scares you? You know, is it supposed to be McCole Hardman?
Off the top of my head, nobody.
Yeah. You know, I was talking to one of my boys the other day, right? And you know what I said to him? I said, the Chiefs, they need to inquire about one guy this offseason. And you know who that is?
Who?
Mike Evans.
Yeah, I can see that.
That would be a hand in glove fit, and that would pretty much catapult the Chiefs back to the Super Bowl.
You know what? I forgot this guy was even on the team. Did you even know that? Did you remember that Sky Moore was on the Chiefs?
They're not using him.
No, I'm saying there's your threat, Sky Moore.
Yeah,
but I'm saying, but I'm saying as though as if that he's the guy that they should be using. Oh God, why I keep forgetting Scantling's on this team too. He's
but see, here's the thing.
He's hurt. He's hurt.
Yeah, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, he finds lightning in a bottle, right? Because AFC Championship game, he went off against Cincinnati last year. He went off.
Yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, he's going to go off. I'm like, listen, he never has back-to-back games like that again.
Also, Noah Gray is no one to sneeze at either, but they're not using him in the offense either.
This is Matt Nagy.
I was going to say, he's a tight end that can play slot. Like, Noah Gray is a tight end that can play slot.
Yeah, he's a wide receiver stuck in the body of a tight end.
Yeah.
Because he's quick enough and he's shifty enough to motion and move around. Yeah.
He's a Gronk.
Nah, I'm not going that far. Come on now.
No, not like skill-wise. I'm saying like athletic-wise.
Oh, okay. With Kansas City, look, I would have tried to have I would have called the Raiders about Devontae Adams.
Apparently the Jets did.
Yeah, I saw. I would have called Denver about Jerry Jeudy. Man, I even said this on Twitter. I would have called the Bears about Chase Claypool.
Yeah, they were not really looking to keep him.
Right. I would have called the Bears about Chase Claypool. Seriously. But, you know what else caught my eye in the NFL this week?
Oh, yeah.
The Minnesota Vikings. Now, you know, they lost Kirk Cousins last week to a torn Achilles. And I feel terrible for Kirk because he's one of the most likable guys in the league. He's class. Did you actually see what he did last week?
Yes.
After he tore his Achilles?
Oh, shit. Yes, I did.
What? What did he do?
Oh, I saw him go out and take photos with people and...
There was an event for... I guess it was a Halloween event. And instead of feeling sorry for himself, he went to the event and he was still taking pictures like you just said. It's just class. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just class. The Vikings acquired Josh Dobbs from
Arizona
Cardinals. And the Vikings did start Jaren Hall, but he wasn't getting the job done.
Actually, no. He went out with an injury.
Yeah, but
concussion.
Even before then, he didn't look all that great.
Yeah, but he went out with a concussion, so...
Yeah, I saw that. And we wish him the best. Um, um, Josh Dobbs came in and put this team on his back. I mean, he really came in and just took advantage of an opportunity. Now, the thing um with Dobbs is, you got to be able to learn the playbook, and you got to learn the guys that you're working with in the huddle. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Minnesota won this game by a score of 31-28, and how could you not be for Josh Dobbs? He was 20 of 30, 158 yards with 2 touchdowns. And Joshua Dobbs is also your leading rusher. Hockenson was your leading receiver. The Falcons had chances to win this game, and they couldn't close out. And everybody wants to call Bijan Robinson a bust. This is why I hate in the moment sports fans. They're not using Bijan Robinson.
No.
They're not feeding him the ball.
Bijan should be the Rookie of the Year, or in the candidacy for Rookie of the Year, and they're not even giving him the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the guy that's going to win Rookie of the Year just did the impossible that last night, so we'll get to that.
Yeah, but Minnesota, this is a gutsy win for them. I mean, they're 5-4. Remember, this is a team that started 0-3.
Yeah,
and not saying they're gonna win the division, but Kevin O'Connell has something brewing in Minnesota, and they haven't played the Detroit Lions yet. Because look, let's just call it what it is. The Lions are gonna win the NFC North.
If they can make the playoffs, then O'Connell will win Coach of the Year.
Over Dan Campbell?
I think so, especially now especially now without Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
That's a better storyline.
But the Lions have never won the NFC North.
I understand that, but here's the thing: the inkling of what Dan Campbell was going from to what he's going to.
Mm-hmm.
I see that better. But then at the same hand, too, you have Saleh that has a better chance of winning than Dan Campbell. Because Saleh now would make the playoffs with Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
As much as Dan Campbell would be good there, Dan Campbell almost needs to win 13 games.
I mean, he's a little close to it.
He's close to it. I mean, there's a chance, but once... What are they at? They're at 6-2.
And they're on the bye this week.
Yeah. And Minnesota's 5-4.
Yeah, those Lions-Vikings games are going to be one to watch.
So, I mean, if the Jets get to 11 wins and make the playoffs, an 11-win Jet team with Zach Wilson, it looks better than a 11-win team with Dan Campbell and with all your starters and Jared Goff and look at it this way. A 11-win Vikings team with Dobbs, storyline looks better than that. It looks better than what the Detroit would have.
Yeah, but Minnesota was able to grind that game out. Arguably the game of the day I want to bring up. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Houston Texans. My guy, Nick, was there. Him and his girlfriend and her daughter. Nick is a diehard Buccaneers fan. And Nick lives in Houston. So, I'm so happy that he was able to see his favorite team. There's nothing like seeing your favorite team up close.
Not at all.
This ended up being one of the higher scoring games of the day. Houston survived, and C.J. Stroud pretty much penciled himself at the top for the votes for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Let me see if they've changed anything, because I'm on DraftKings right now. And C.J. Stroud, minus 500. Pretty much a Runaway looking like right now, not impossible unless he gets injured. Puka Nakua is next at 6.5 to 1. And then Jermaine Gibbs at 13. Addison at 16. Bijan at 16. Achane at 22. Bryce Young at 30. And that's pretty much where I would draw the line. And Aiden and if the push comes to shove, Aiden O'Connell right now is 75.
Yeah, CJ Stroud balled out.
Oh, Sam Laporta's 50 also. If he can break the
Yeah,
record,
and he's been good this year too.
Yeah.
But looking at the Buccaneers side, this is a tough loss for Tampa. Baker Mayfield, 21 to 30, 265 yards. He threw 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he was sacked twice. Mike Evans, of course, was your leading receiver with 87 yards receiving, and Kay Otten caught the 2 touchdowns. And Rachaad White was your leading rusher with 73 yards. On the Texans side, C.J. Stroud, listen to these numbers, Ronnie.
Yep.
30 of 42, 470 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And Noah Brown was your leading receiver with 153 yards. I like DeMeco Ryans as a head coach.
And he's another one that could win. He's another one that can win Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, he's another one.
Or not Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year.
I'll admit to you, I was a little bit on the fence, not about DeMeco, because I think DeMeco is one of the best football minds in the league. He was great as a player, and I even remember Brian Cushing saying, "You don't want to piss DeMeco off," because DeMeco was the man in the middle for many of those Texans teams with Cushing and J.J. Watt and Whitney Merciless. You remember those teams. His players loved him when he was the defensive coordinator in San Francisco. And he got the head coaching job with the Houston Texans. I didn't like what the Texans did with Lovey. And I didn't like what the Texans did with David Culley. Firing 2 black coaches after 1 year. You get where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I mean...
That's why I was nervous about DeMeco, because if Houston wasn't in the position that they were in right now, they'd be handing DeMeco his pink slip, his exit papers at the end of the season on Black Monday. That's just what it is. Those are just some facts for you.
And I think, too, if right now you have DeMeco doing good, I would, if I'm the Raiders, I would keep my coaching staff around for a little bit. Let him try to...
Who? Antonio Pierce?
Yep.
Yeah. But unfortunately, black hat coaches, they don't get the leash that coaches of other races get.
Oh, Pierce will be getting a job somewhere as a head coach.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, because he's another one that's a good football mind as well. The Texans look good. The Texans, I think, look better than what a lot of people anticipated from them. The Texans won that game by a score of 39 to 37. And you saw the kicker got hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had someone else come in, and he's kicking. God, protect your kicker by all costs. At all costs. Anything else you want to add to what you saw in the NFL today? It's right now, I think it's Miles to lose, because he impacts the game.
Yeah, another sack, another fumble recovery, and another tackle for loss in this game.
Exactly.
What else? I think if you're looking for comeback player of the year, do not put your money down on DeMar Hamlin.
Nah. Because he's been a scratch for a majority of games.
I'll tell you one right now. If you're looking for a long shot, I wish they had him on DraftKings. But so let me ask you this. If Aaron Rodgers comes back at week 18, plays and takes his team into the playoffs, after coming back from a partially torn Achilles that he needed surgery on, should he win Comeback Player of the Year?
No, and if I'm Aaron Rodgers...
Oh, he's 30. He's 35-1.
If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't even attempt to try and come back this year. Hear me out. Because you got to realize he's going to be 40 years old. You need all the rest you can get. Come back next year. Just chalk this up as an unfortunate L. Injuries happen. Nah, don't do it. I would just sit out. I would rehab. I'm glad, he's still on his feet and everything, but I would honestly just sit down for this season.
Would you almost give it to see, that's the problem. Damar Hamlin right now might get it just due to by proxy. Because So here's the guys right now that are behind him. Tua is 2-1. Tua might be winning MVP. If he wins MVP, he ain't winning Comeback Player of the Year.
Right.
Breece Hall, 8-1. He hasn't really done anything coming back from a torn ACL. Okay, Joshua Dobbs, 10-1. All right, what is he coming back from? Baker Mayfield? No. After what happened yesterday, no. Lamar Jackson, what's he coming back from? He wasn't hurt.
He was hurt for a majority of last year.
But he's coming back from a bad year. It's not like he was out with a torn ACL and coming back.
Mm-hmm.
TJ Watt, again, from what?
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Rodgers, okay, if he does come back, yeah, you're giving it to him because that's an insane story. Cooper Kupp, maybe, but he's not.
At all.
But right now, you're losing him due to Puka Nacua. So,
out of all those names, I'd probably give it to Tua.
But you're not gonna. Here's the thing. The other thing is they're not gonna give it to Tua if he's gonna win MVP.
I don't even think he wins MVP.
He's having an MVP type year. Who are you giving it to? Who are you giving it to? Mahomes right now is the favorite. I wouldn't even give it. Yeah, at 2.5. I wouldn't even give it to him.
Honestly, I think this is the most wide open that MVP has ever been.
I'll say this: McCaffrey, as it's Hill or McCaffrey is winning Offensive Player of the Year.
Oh yeah, Tyreek's winning Offensive Player of the Year.
I will say this: if McCaffrey keeps up his scoring streak, that's good. There's an argument.
Or CMC. I think right now he's my favorite.
Well, I'm saying, but that's the thing. Tyreek and McCaffrey are tied right now for Offensive Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
McCaffrey is 14-1 for MVP.
Right.
See, Tua right now is 4.5-1. If they win the East and get the 1 and get the 2 seed, I can see Tua getting that. Lamar right now is actually probably, in my opinion, the guy that people should be looking the most, especially if they can pass and get the 1 seed. Then Lamar's getting the MVP.
Yeah.
But at the same time, too, depending on how Cincinnati does, Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence are 20-1.
Mm-hmm.
There's those 2 guys right there. Josh Allen's 13. Josh Allen should go down to 100-1. He stands no fucking chance of winning MVP. He has regressed so much. He is. You bet him you are 0.1% chance of winning.
Yeah, but again, they put too much on him.
That's why I can't see him winning MVP.
Yeah, they put too much on him. And look, I'll say this about the Buffalo Bills. You know what else their problem? You know what their other problem is? It's coaching. I don't think McDermott's the guy.
Like here's a weird thing. As much as he's gonna win Rookie of the Year, if they make the playoffs, could you not see a guy like C.J. Stroud getting the nod, getting the invite to win MVP? Maybe not win it.
Like getting a vote?
Getting votes to win MVP. If he keeps this up.
I could see it.
Yeah.
I could see it. I definitely could.
And same with a guy like Goff, because you have to have the whole thing with MVP is you need winning. the winning. So right now, you can definitely see a team like a guy. I would not see Tua because Tua right now, unless they're bad teams, they could be 13-3, 13-4, and who did they beat?
Right. Because no, Miami has some tough games. You know, they got to play Buffalo again at the end of the year, and I know that could determine the East.
Same with Josh Allen. Josh Allen could do the same thing. Christian McCaffrey, CMC. I mean, if they are 14 and 3, 14-3, but McCaffrey runs, hits a touchdown in every game.
Yeah.
And extends that thing. That's McCaffrey's he's passing Brock Purdy as the most as the valuable player on that team. And especially if they get the one seed, like Jalen right now is 5-1. I can't put him at MVP. I hate saying that, but I can't put him. And I know I'll get backlash from a couple people. What? Jalen should not be MVP.
Nah, he shouldn't.
It goes, in my opinion, it goes Mahomes, Tua, Lamar, McCaffrey, Burrow, Lawrence. There's my top.
Yeah, remember, Burrow was my pick to win it.
Yeah, and Lawrence was mine.
Yeah, and that's another game to look forward to because I know the Bengals and the Jaguars play on a Monday night in December. Yeah. Anything else you want to add?
Nope.
NFL-wise?
Let's get into this Monday game and bring it on home.
Yep. So, looking at this, man, that was a big win. I mean, anybody can beat the Bears. Come on now.
Yeah.
But Justin Herbert, you can tell he's more hurt than he's letting on. And this offense really misses Mike Williams, but other guys have stepped up. Joshua Kelly, and Austin Eckler just makes this offense so much better. I can't even think who he reminds me of. He's underrated to me because this guy just puts in the work year in and year out. And their offense with him is night and day compared to the offense without him. I'm just concerned about this Chargers defense because you have two of the best pass rushers in the league in Bosa and Khalil Mack, yet you're not getting home to the quarterback.
No, and with a Jet weak offensive line, they might be able to get it. But again, the Jets have made top-tier quarterbacks look stupid.
Yeah, but I don't think they make Justin Herbert look stupid tonight. I think the Chargers win, but I think the Jets keep this a very interesting yet close game. I'm going to say the Chargers win this game 24-17.
I have this being Jets winning.
Of course you do.
20-17.
Tell me you're not a homer without saying you're a homer.
Listen. The other thing is too, is I think that defense shows up and shows out.
Yeah, I can see it.
Because right now, I've even said the Jets right now have the division in their hands.
Mm-hmm.
It's all looking forward to them. They can win these next 3 games, which they somehow beat the goddamn Giants.
Exactly.
Bowling ugly fucking game.
Yeah.
They can definitely beat the Chargers, and they can beat Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna take the Chargers tonight. I just think, I trust their offense a little bit more than I trust the New York Jets at this point. Not taking anything away from the Jets, but if I had to choose between these two quarterbacks, I'm taking Justin Herbert way over Zach Wilson.
Oh, I agree with that.
Yeah. And
it's not. It has nothing to do with the quarterback play. It has everything to do with the defense play. Like, again, Zach Wilson just has to make sure he does not lose the game.
Right, right. And they need to run the football.
Yeah, and literally, the Jets need to go back to the 90s.
Yeah, run the football because
Run the damn ball.
to stop the run. So that's all we have for the Monday night preview. I do have a question because someone did ask me. A Someone did ask me a question. You know, I always say post questions. This one comes from my man K. Ron Harbin. Now, K. Ron asked me from a small sample size, where do you think C.J. Stroud ranks with all quarterbacks, not just rookie quarterbacks? Tough ask after a game like today, but I want to know. That's a good question. Okay, so Mahomes, Tua, Burrow, Herbert, Lamar. That's probably your top five right there, right? Could you disagree with that?
No, that's, yeah.
Okay. 6 to 10. God, I don't want to say Geno because Geno's look pretty mediocre this year.
Let's put it this way. Well, no, hold on. Let's put it this way. He's not top. He's not the first. Is he the first third? Is he part of the first third?
No.
So that would, yeah. So is he bottom? Is he the bottom third?
I'll say he's the bottom third.
So you say he would be, that would be 21 to 32.
Nah, I can't even say that. Because, I mean, CJ's been playing this year. He's been balling out. I'll say he's like in the teens.
So he's middle of the pack.
Yeah.
I
really think so.
That's the best way you can describe it. Like, I always look at the quarterback ratings by top third, middle third, bottom third.
Yeah. So I'll say he's middle third.
And then you also have the backups and that, but that you don't have to get it. You go by starters.
I mean, ain't nobody care about the backups. Come on, man.
Oh, I mean, there's some backups like that are playing now that you can put into that.
Yeah. All right, you ready to bring this thing on home, Ronnie?
Let's bring it on home. Oh, by the way, last thing I want to say is, I know we're kind of late about this, but if you're bitching about the Michigan sign stealing, it's been going on for 100 years. People back off, and if people are getting fired, that's because the media is forcing them to fire them. Lay off.
Hey, he said it, not me. But we're about to wrap this thing up, man. It feels good to not be solo. Yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. We hope you enjoy this episode just as much as we have fun recording it. Once again, like I said, man, happy heavenly birthday to my grandfather. And, you know, this episode is also dedicated to my late grandmother. She did become an angel, as I said at the beginning of the show. Will make 2 years on Thursday, November 9th. You know, everything I do is for her. And I'm dedicating this to both my grandparents. Like I said at the beginning of the show, they have the best seat in the house. And I had to say that again, you know, get that came from the heart. With that being said, how can you guys keep up with me? Log on to the site and become a subscriber today. Which is the dailyblitz.blog. Enter your email address, and anything I post, you will get to your inbox. So there's that. Follow us on Twitter or on X, whatever you're calling it, at the Daily Blitz at DailyBlitz_61. Follow us on Instagram at the Daily Blitz 61, and I will be making that Facebook fan page. Your boy is back on Facebook. I have been for a while. Keep up with me on the airwaves. See, every Monday evening quarterback with Ronnie here on Spotify, YouTube, Twitch, Blog Talk Radio, and the Nerd Port Network. Then every Monday night and Tuesday night, you can catch me on the Prime, on Prime Sports World with David On Point, TJ Hopkins, and Israel Rivera. As I said, that's every Monday night and Tuesday night. Wednesdays, you can catch me back on with this knucklehead on the betting window. See, I got it right that time. On the window with Ronnie and John Danzo and Ryan Shaw and all of Ryan Shaw's shenanigans. I'm not going to even get started into that. Ronnie knows what I'm talking about. Fridays, you can catch me on College Football Showdown on Prime Sports World with my main man, Israel Rivera, and my other guy, Matt James. That's every Friday night. I will be announcing what it is I'm previewing tomorrow on social media, so please be on the lookout for that. And this wouldn't be a show without me ending it with some shout outs. So, huge shout out to my parents, my incredible mother. I know this is going to be a tough week for you, but just know I love you very much, and we are in this together. My beautiful sister Taylor, my son, better known as my dog, Siebes, and my dad. Man, my family is everything to me. I'm doing this for them. I work for the last name and not the first name. My other siblings, Sean, Janice, Tanisha, Daphne, Brandon, Keith, some of my other people I'm close with, Robert Butler, Jason Tyree, Candace Carter, Kimmel Fryer, Josh, and his 3 daughters and his wife. And his wife Diana and their 3 daughters, Tiffany, Natalie, and Madison. I hope you guys are doing well. Kevin Cooper and his wife Lynn and their daughter Evie. I hope you're doing well as well. Cole Johnson, better known as Coach, my co-analyst and our moderator D. And back to Kevin for 1 second. If you are a lover of all things baseball, check out his blog, which is the Catch Stop blog. And he's talking about all things baseball. Baseball season has finally come to an end. Congratulations to the Texas Rangers on winning their first World Series title. They did it in 5 games over the Arizona Diamondbacks last week. Some more shout outs, my man Tim Cassell, Corey Harris, Deshaun Elliott, Rob Carter, Mike Griffin. Yesterday was actually Mike's birthday. Happy birthday, Mike, man. I hope you're enjoying this. It's all love from me to you. Velo, and so many more. Everybody that supported me, I'd be here all day. So if I don't mention your name, just please know I don't love you. Doesn't mean I don't love you any less. It's just I'd be here all day with a whole bunch of names, and I got things to do, and I got another show I have to contribute to. This has been another episode of Monday Evening Quarterback. Thank you guys for following along. For Ronnie Coomp, I'm Christian Simpson. This has been #Daily Blitz Radio. Again, like, share, and subscribe if you like what you heard today. I hear that music. Ronnie, would I be me if I wasn't nodding my head to that music? Man, you know me. I'm always going to end it out. We're going to ride out. Man, I'm playing some legends here. This is Method Man, Redman, Mrs. International. I like a girl that's thick in the waist, you know. Yeah, I don't remember the rest of the lyrics. I had to So yeah, I'm gonna let the professionals do it. But this has been Monday Evening Quarterback. Have an amazing week. I hope you enjoy this episode, and we will be back here next Monday, God willing. Enjoy Monday Night Football, and I will see you soon.